Great job. Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mom?
Good, good, good. Yeah. So tell us, what was that performance and music?
It was just some Bach I played in our studio recital, the Rodland studio recital at Juilliard. Was it last week, I think? Um, yeah, that was just something I brought up sort of last minute, but it went okay.
Mm-hmm. Sounds really good. I noticed the way you play was a little bit almost feel like a baroque instrument feel, right? Did you
Mhm.
did you intentionally do that? And you also sound like like sometimes an improvisational feel for it, right? A
I think
little bit.
so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I took a couple of Baroque lessons last year at
Mm-hmm.
Juilliard.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, just some different techniques that can be used to
Yeah.
make it sound more period like.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Very good. Sounds really good. So congratulations for your winning Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra just about 10 days ago, right?
yeah, thank
Yeah. Today is 11th and you won on the 10th. And so now let's just rewind a little bit. Do you remember your first experience of got really like wow effect of symphonic orchestra when you first sort of I hear a little bit clicking keyboard clicking sound.
yeah, I don't
Is
know what
it?
that is.
哦，你声音太响了，要轻一点。So
Maybe
tell me
not.
a little bit. Uh, is a keyboard clicking. um,
Maybe this.
yeah. Okay. 谢谢. So tell me a little bit about your first orchestra experience.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a clear memory, but I remember it was definitely at Kinhaven that first year
Mhm.
because I think that was the first time I actually played in an orchestra
Mm.
um, of any like true size. Because I did
宝宝，
stuff
你
at
讲话
school.
响一点，有点轻，
I can
讲话
really
稍微
turn
响
it.
一点。Yeah, a little louder.
I don't know.
啊，
Is that okay?
我不知道，你要讲了以后我才知道。I
Is
was
that good?
saying to Sean, you need to talk a little with more volume, please. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was at Kinhaven. Yeah, because that's the first time I played like big orchestra rep with an actual group. Um, yeah, and I'd done smaller things before, but never like super big
Mhm.
orchestra.
Yeah. So now the history of American Symphonic Orchestra for children to learn, I think it's always kind of advanced, and you get to play orchestra in a very young age. And like your situation is music festival, yeah, King Haven really opened your eyes. And I remember we sent you to King Haven. At first you didn't really want to go because it was like first time you leave home, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So like at what point, because it was a 6 weeks program, do you remember the turning point at the King Haven? Like which piece do you remember you played?
I don't really know if I remember specific pieces, or if I do, they're sort of mixed up from the 2 years I went to Kinhaven. But I think definitely the first couple the chamber groups I did helped at first because it's much more intimate and you could like talk to the people in your group and get to know them. But I think I was just scared of meeting so many new people. or
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, and I think I remember one of my first groups, like, and I still know those people, so just kind of cool.
Hmm. Yeah. So now in conservatory or in pre-college, when did you guys started to practice excerpts, symphonic excerpts?
I think we had to do some sort of placement exam for Juilliard Pre-College Orchestra, but I think the first time I ever actually did excerpts was for like New York Youth Symphony and also for National Youth Orchestra for that
Hmm.
audition.
Right. And do you think joining King Haven, then after King Haven, you join New York Youth Symphony, right? After that, you auditioned for National Youth Orchestra. Yeah. So I think it is a really great preparation for you today, right? You just like one orchestra after another, even their student level, but student orchestra, but their level is quite high, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think National Youth Orchestra in particular was really awesome because they get people from all over the country, and so you can meet different sorts of people and also really great musicians. And of course, we got to work with awesome conductors and travel, which is really cool. Um, yeah, a lot of good memories and lessons from that program.
And you toured where with
First year was
national?
Europe. Um, yeah, like I think Amsterdam and Prague, Nice in France. Um, there might have been one more city or Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it was really cool. Yeah, I'd never been to a lot of those places, so getting that opportunity to travel was really awesome. And then the second year, I think we went to South America, to Mexico City and Guadalajara in Mexico, and Colombia, the capital of Colombia, Bogota, and like maybe two other cities, but I can't really remember them
Mhm.
right now. It
Yeah,
was cool.
so you have learned quite a lot of repertoire through these youth orchestra, right? Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So now how is the how is Juilliard Orchestra? Juilliard train you? Like, do you have to audition for the like a position, right? Then you have to work on your excerpts for
Yeah, I
Juilliard.
think. Well, for Juilliard, it's like you have a seating audition, um, and then from that seating audition, they can invite certain people to come audition for the principal roles, and that's a separate audition. So it's like a two-step process. And yeah, they haven't told us this year who's the principals yet, but um, I did take that audition. So.
So tell us a little bit about orchestra excerpts for people who do not know. Can you just give us like a five standard orchestra excerpts for viola player, just a section player?
Sure. So probably Don Juan, the beginning, and going up to
And tell
whatever
us
that
the
round.
composer and the name.
By Strauss, right?
Mhm.
Richard
Richard
Strauss.
Strauss. Mhm.
And yeah, Don Juan is just one of his tone poems. It's very tricky. Um,
What's the
and
tricky about?
it's very fast and lots of notes, lots of shifting, and some. Yeah, it has to be in tune as well as being accurate. So that's the trick with that. Um, yeah, just lots of fast runs and things where you need to be expressive but also accurate, which is difficult. But
Mm.
probably Brahms' Haydn variations, the fifth one, just
That
because
was like
it's that.
lyrical one. Dum, ba-da-dum. Which one?
I think that's seven, the seventh one. But
Oh.
both of those are standard. Yeah.
Mm.
The fifth one just because there's like bow bouncing and you need to control it and also a lot of string crossing and stuff.
Oh, da 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 da. Is that one?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and then yeah, the seventh one where it's like lyrical and you need to phrase and have a good tone and things like that.
Mm, mm.
Um, Probably Shostakovich, Symphony 5 for intonation, being quiet and also in tune and shifting silently, and string crossings. And
Mendelssohn.
yeah, Mendelssohn Scherzo for Midsummer Night's Dream for bow bouncing, string crossings, all that stuff.
It's very hard to play when you're nervous, right? Sometimes bow would not bounce, or sometimes bow would bounce too much, right?
Yeah,
When you're in pressure, it's hard to play accurately for Mendelssohn. Really hard. Yeah. 我怎么还听到声音啊？有那种呱唧呱唧的声音。
I don't know. I think it's just the phone,
Yeah.
maybe.
Oh,
Or something.
really? The phone makes sound. That's kind of weird.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the internet or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. I hear kind of weird sound. But anyway, yeah. So now, yeah. Okay. So tell us a little bit about this Pittsburgh audition, and I understand you applied for it only 2 months ago, right? 2 months, like less than 2 months, right? Before the
Yeah.
audition. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your preparation and thinking process.
Sure. I mean, it wasn't something I realistically expected to win, but because I saw the job opening on a website called Musical Chairs, um, I think a day before it was due, the application.
You always do things like that.
Well, yeah, I didn't know that
Last minute.
I didn't know it was happening until then. So then when I saw it, I asked my teacher and some other teachers I knew if they would be willing to write a recommendation letter for me. And they said yes. So I sent in all my stuff, and then basically from then till when I had the audition was just trying very hard to get all the excerpts in shape and my solo stuff as well.
So
Yeah.
what qualifies you to do the live audition? Do they look at your resume or do they look at your recommendation letters?
I honestly don't know, but I would assume it's some combination of the two. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like resume and also recommendations.
Yeah. So you do send them a resume like you stated where you played or previous orchestra experience, right? So
Yeah,
for
like
somebody if they have not played like a youth orchestra like you do, uh, they may not get invited.
mm, I think it. No, I don't think they would be invited. It's more just maybe they would have to send in a pre-screening video or something,
Mm, mm,
um, which is pretty standard, just to see, just a couple excerpts, just to see how they play, and then
mm.
probably it's fine.
I see. Yeah. So now from you sending the letter apply for to they say you're invited to play live, how long does that take?
Um, well, I sent it in pretty late, right? Like right before it was due, so they actually responded pretty quickly, like within a week or so, saying that I would I was invited, but then for some reason I didn't see some email from them that actually had all the excerpts and stuff, so I had to wait another week to get that stuff, even though I think they sent it on time. It just got buried in my inbox.
Mm.
And so I reached out again to them like 2 weeks later, just asking for if they had them, and they did. So they sent it to me again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I remember you're even telling me about that, right? You're a little nervous about, yeah. So now did you know all these excerpts you had? How many composers of course, composers has sometimes you have 3 excerpts from one composer, but altogether, how many excerpts you have to prepare for this audition?
I think it depends on how you define individual ones, but
Mm.
because they gave us like an entire movement of the Beethoven Five,
Mhm.
um, so maybe that's just one, but probably like around 15 to 18, I think,
Mm-hmm.
which is a
Yeah,
pretty good number.
yeah, that's a big list.
Yeah.
So what is your strategy of preparing? Do you feel overwhelmed when you see the list, or do you say, "Hey, I know many of them"?
I think it was some combination of the both of those two things because I did know quite a lot of the more difficult ones. Like I'd already played Don Juan, and um, I knew what the Mendelssohn sounded like, and also some of the Beethovens and stuff. But there were a couple that I really had no idea what they sounded like. But I got lucky that those ended up being the excerpts that we worked on in our excerpt class at Juilliard the weeks leading up to the auditions. So I had some really good help on those. And a lot of the rest was just listening to a lot of recordings, different recordings, and trying to get a sense of what they sounded like. Um, and just looking if it was a video to see what the viola people were doing in the orchestra in that excerpt. Basically, just like trying to copy that or like emulate that.
So, did you, now that you know you're auditioning for Pittsburgh Symphony, and their music director is, what's his name? Hornick, right? The
Yeah.
music director. Um,
Mhm.
did you watch or listen to his conducting pieces? Like try to
I
understand his musicality.
I did for some of them, but um, a lot of the times no. I would just get a five or three or four different conductors and look at all of them. Because it depends if I could find a recording of his or not, which sometimes I couldn't. But
Mhm. Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Don't forget, like in this summer, you actually had also very good experience of preparing your excerpts. So tell us a little bit about this summer.
yeah, I also had another. Yeah, I did this orchestra fellowship audition at the summer program I was at in California,
It's called.
and the Music Academy of the West in Santa Barbara, which was a really awesome place. Um, and they had this partnership with the London Symphony Orchestra called the Keston Max Orchestral Fellowship, I think. And basically, the way it works is everybody. Well, there were like 12 or 13 spots open um, for the whole orchestra or the whole camp, and then um, basically everybody would take auditions on the excerpts that they had for their instrument, and then they would choose 12 or 13 people out of that group to become um, like training fellows for a week or so with the orchestra. Um, and yeah, I worked on some of the same excerpts as I had to do for Pittsburgh there. So I had that experience and also having to really work on them super hard over the summer was helpful because I knew sort of what I needed to do from that experience, how to prepare very diligently,
Who
not
was
to
your
pick up.
teacher? Who
I
was
had
your teacher in the summer? Huh?
Karen Dreyfus, Richard O'Neill, and Cynthia Phelps were all awesome.
Yeah, you're very lucky, huh? You're surrounded with these incredible teachers. And so tell us a little bit in terms of teacher. What's Carol Rodland has, you've been with her for 5 years now. What
Mm-hmm.
is her general approach, like her style of teaching, if you were to summarize?
Um, I mean, she's in the Tuttle School, right? So she teaches that school of thought around playing and how to approach playing the viola and not hurt yourself, right? Basically.
Karen Tuttle. Yeah.
Yeah, and how to use your body more efficiently to play well and not hurt yourself, basically. Um, it's very nurturing teaching style and very useful, I'd say. Yeah, very much enjoyed it so far.
Was Is she tough on you, or is she kind of let you do what you you do? Like I when I see her, I see that nurturing side of, very I don't know, it's not free, but kind of let you do your thing, kind of a very motherly kind of style. But how is she? Does she have like a really tough side,
Um,
like ass kicking you?
I don't know if I would say that ever happened, but she definitely can be strict, or I don't know. Like I always know that I trust that what she says is right, so I'll like 99% of the time listen to what she says. Um, and like yeah, even on the stuff I was working on for Pittsburgh, so I brought it to her, and like the Mozart or the Bruckner excerpt, like she had things saying to just like do completely different interpretation or how to play those, and I listened to her because I think they're right. So um, yeah, I wouldn't say that she like lets me do things that she doesn't agree with, because most of the time I would say that what she thinks is right is probably right.
Mm, yeah, that's great. You're very lucky. So now do you say you practiced more than usual for this audition, or you just practiced the normal amount? Because I don't see you
But
practicing at home enough. I don't see you
yeah, I'd
because
say I
you
practice
spend
more
a lot of time
now
at
than usual.
school, huh?
Uh, I'd say I practice probably more than usual, but just more efficiently also.
Mhm.
Um, well, because yeah, I wasn't home like most of the day. I was at school for classes, and so I actually had to learn how to practice in smaller amounts of time. So like between classes and stuff, and find time to do things like for an hour instead of like 3 hours straight. Um, yeah, and I think I did practice a lot. Like I would try to fit as much as I could in through the day without hurting myself, basically. Um, yeah.
So how does the practicing situation in Julia works? Like if you want to practice, you can always find a room, or you have to schedule.
Well, it depends if you're there's like peak hours because there's only a certain number of practice rooms, and there's obviously more students than practice rooms. So basically, like for around the middle of the day, it's really hard to find a room. Um, and we have like these electronic kiosks we use with our IDs to tap our IDs and try to get a room, to reserve a room like at that moment. But if there are no rooms available in the system, then you kind of just need to keep tapping your card because there's no way to there's no queue system. So it's basically just whoever is fastest, and if a room pops up, then you click it and then you get it. So you could be standing there for 5 minutes, or you could be standing there for
Mhm.
like 45 minutes if you're not lucky.
Mm, mm,
Um, and a bunch of the rooms this year were broken. Like the locks wouldn't lock if you went in them and you press the button.
mm, mm,
So every 5 minutes, someone would come and try to get the room from you because they thought it was open.
mm.
Or you would go to a room and there'd be someone in there, even though it's supposed to be unlocked.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just very annoying. And I think they've mostly fixed it, but it wasn't fun.
So now at what point before the audition, say 3 weeks before, yeah, your audition was on November the 29th, 3 weeks before, early November. Um, how did you feel? Did you feel ready, or did you feel like, oh, I need to practice more?
No, I think I felt like I needed to practice more. It was never a realistic option for me. That
Mm.
yeah, even up until like a couple days before I didn't think I was ready. So
Mm.
um, it got close.
Did you run through at the class at the your
I didn't get a chance
Rodland?
to do it in studio class, but I did it with my girlfriend and a friend like a
Mm.
couple days before, and also we had a couple days before we left for Pittsburgh. I did a couple with you, right? So
Mm. Mm.
that was basically my only run throughs, and then also in the
Wow.
hotel rooms.
Mm. That was scary. So so how does what was my like what was my role in your playing? Did you find me helpful? Make you run in front of me, or you know, with the metronome and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think by the time that we started working together, um, it was I basically already knew what I was doing, but
Mhm,
it was good to run through it a bunch of times,
mhm,
and a lot of the things you said were right, so I could make last minute changes. Um, yeah, it was. I think it was very helpful just at the very end, just to have a bunch of smaller run throughs, and then go and so it was sort of like an intensity for the entire weekend,
mhm.
not just at during the auditions. It was before and after, so the playing wasn't actually that difficult for me. Um,
And I also think you don't have to play with the metronome all the time, but once in a while, go back to check the tempo, right? Because
yeah.
we are, you know, still not as accurate as AI, you know. So so the machine is still, we have to still rely on, you know, right? Once in a while you
Hmm.
still have to listen to the click and then let go, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and so tell us a little bit, walk through with us. Were you really nervous? I sent you to the door for first round in the afternoon, right? You, it was like a 4 p.m. or something, right? Oh, 3:30 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, if someone have never done professional audition, give us a little spiel about, you know, first round, second round, and final or whatever.
I think, um, yeah, the entire experience was just very anxiety and nervousness, lots of that. When I showed up, uh, yeah, they gave us all a private room to warm up in, which is actually very nice. But the walls were so thin that you could hear basically everything the person was doing next to you. Like they each group of there's like two rooms, two rooms, two rooms, and you could open a door in between to create a bigger room, right? But the door is pretty thin, so you could literally hear everything that the other person was playing. So even and I knew I didn't want to keep practicing because I would get tired, but I also really didn't want to listen to other people playing because just small details I might like start picking up, you know, that I didn't prepare or that
Mm, mm,
different tempos and stuff for the excerpts because I was really trying to just like lock in everything that I wanted to do myself.
mm.
So when I wasn't playing, I would just play like open strings or something, just try to drown out the noise from other people, and also just to like um, practice my long bows and stuff and just sound or whatever. Um, and I just drilled through like the whole list for each round before the round, like with so I do the metronomes and get each of the tempos like really locked in, and then just go after them one after the other, and then do it again, and then do it in my
Oh,
head.
one detail. When you walk in, since you have about 18 excerpts, so they gave you a list of for the first round, right?
Yeah, they give us a list of like 8 or something for the first round,
And do you
or
have to play
yeah,
one solo or two solo?
it's just the concerto, the Bartok, the first
Okay.
first
Okay.
movement.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then however many excerpts they had for the first round, I don't remember, but so yeah, I just did my concerto in the room and tried to warm up them with the tempo and with the metronome, and then without the metronome. Yeah, and then I think I even went downstairs. I packed up because I didn't really like they gave me instructions, but I was so nervous I didn't really hear what they were saying like initially. So like after like 10 or 15 minutes before I thought I was going to start playing, like I literally packed up all my stuff and went downstairs, and then they were like, "What are you doing? Like, we'll come get you." And then I had to go back upstairs and then unpack again, and then wait like 10 minutes, and then they came and got me, and then I packed up again and then went down to warm up in another room for the first round, which was a bigger room, so it's less. There's no other people's noise, and also it's a little bit larger acoustic, so it's closer to the hall. And so I just tried to do like open strings and get used to a bigger sound, and then they had us walk out onto the stage and do the first round. So, which is behind a screen, and so that you can see the panel.
So it's you play on the hall. Is the screen like in the front of the stage? You are how far distance you are behind the screen?
Maybe like 10 feet or so.
Mm.
And yeah, it's like on the stage, the big stage, and the screen was also on the stage, so they were basically on the edge, I guess, the panel, listening. And then there was one person who I think was also in the orchestra, but like wasn't a part of the audition committee, who would like let us know when it was time to go to what's it called, when it was time for us to go on from the concerto, right? So they just nodded, and then we start doing the excerpts. So just straight down the list after the Bartok.
How far you played the Bartok?
I only got to the second page, the bottom, and then they had me move on. And then yeah, it was all the excerpts right after the other. And I thought I did okay, but I didn't think I did spectacularly the first round. So I was just so after we played, they made us go sit in this large room to wait for the results. All the people who had already played, and there were maybe like 5 or 6 people after me who still had to go. So it was like another hour of waiting in that
How
room.
many people were waiting in the room? So this is a group of people in your group, right? Not the entire audition. First
Yeah, no,
round.
this is just my hour or 2 hour group, I think. And yeah, it was really quiet in the room. Like no one was talking. I think everybody was just so nervous.
How
Just
many
on
of you?
phones. It was
Like,
maybe like 15 or 16 people by the end.
oh my god!
So, and it's just completely silent, right? Like there's zero noise for like an hour straight. Like no one talked.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was just really uncomfortable and like
yeah,
nerve-wracking.
yeah.
And at the very end, the proctor basically came in and said, "Okay, we have a list. 3 people from this group have advanced or something, or 4 people," and then they list out the numbers of the people, and then they were like, "The numbers of the people come talk to us," or something, and then the rest of the people just pack up.
Oh, so they don't say your name; they say number, whatever, right?
Yeah. Which I thought was actually kind of brutal. It's like right there, it's not even like they put a list up and people had to read it. It's just
what? Say it again.
Well, it's not like they put a list up and people had to rate it themselves. It's like they just listed out the numbers, and then whoever didn't get through would just have to leave, which I thought
You
was
mean
kind
they announced the number, right? Number
of,
seven,
yeah.
number whatever. Okay. What's your number?
I think mine was 54.
54? Oh. And then at that point you called me, right? I was in
Yeah,
the
I
cafe.
called
I
you,
was in the bar waiting for you.
and they told us we had basically an hour and a half break until we had to come back and pull numbers for the second round. So I went to the bar and had a salad. Um, couldn't really eat that much because I was so nervous. And then went back, and there were maybe like 6 or 7 people there waiting. Or maybe I'm mixing up the rounds now, but I think it was like 6 or 7 people. And I think they gave us a number or something, or we pulled a number. And uh, yeah, and then we had the second round, maybe around like 8 or 9 that night, and then there was another hour of waiting after that, for at least for me. And again, no one talked in the room. It was really, really quiet. Um, I think yeah, and I also didn't think I did that great in the second round too. Or I thought I did fine. Like I didn't screw up or anything. It's just always you don't want to think you're doing good. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And then I actually forgot what my number was when they were telling us the names when they came to tell us.
mm,
So they said we have 3 people out of however many people there were there, and they listed like I don't know, like 35, like 47, and
mm.
I thought I was like 45 or something. So I thought, okay, they said 47, I'm already out, right? And then they said 54, and then like they waited a second, because like no one like moved, because I forgot I was 54, and then they were like, yeah, 54 is Sean Juhl, and then it was like, oh my god, and then yeah, I thought I was gonna like throw up. It was so like stress, like building up and then really sing so quickly.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, they gave us instructions for the next day. Um, then yeah, I called you and we went back. I got some pizza or something, and then yeah, slept pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And then the next day you also slept pretty late. You didn't get up like, 8 o'clock to practice. Just I think you slept till 10 or something, or 11 or something. I don't know.
yeah.
Uh, so all right, so Kevin has a question for you. Kevin Walker music. Yeah, ahead of game, dear. So let Sean finish his last round, then we'll answer your question, dear. Okay, Kevin.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you so much for can you see Kevin's question?
I don't think so.
Kevin, oh, you cannot see because you are on yourself in your phone, right? You're not
Mhm.
on computer. Yeah, I'll read to you. Okay. Very sweet. Kevin has a question for you. So now, and then, yeah, I remember you walk in because I already went back to hotel. I didn't need to stay in the
Yeah, yeah.
bar any
Mhm.
longer because who knows. Then you walked in and you're really happy you got into the final.
Mhm.
Now, so the day of final, tell us, how'd you feel?
I felt okay, yeah, and it was actually kind of late in the day. Like it was supposed to start around 5, so I had a lot of time to like warm up and run through things in the morning, which was really nice. And yeah, well, we got there around 4 because it was supposed to start at 5 to warm up, but they said they were running like maybe 45 to an hour late, which is fine. So I just started warming up anyway and playing a little bit. but it ended up being more like 2 hours or something delay, just because they had so many people to run through for the other rounds that day. And yeah, so I played at like 7, and then it was pretty long. And then
So
after I
when did you have
played,
to play? When did you have to play Bach and Mozart?
the Bach was for the second round, and Mozart was in the third round, and also Bartok, third round again. And yeah, I wasn't that confident after I played, and then we had to wait in the room again, and it was like this time it was like 5 people waiting. And after the last person played, we thought we were gonna maybe get a result, but then we had to wait another 2 hours in that room. Um, but this time we did talk, because I think everybody was like already done like playing and just talking about stuff, orchestra, other auditions, or how hungry we were and stuff. And that was nice to at least like blow off some of the nervousness by talking to people, which is nice. And then I think we waited. At least I waited around like 3 hours, because I played at like 7:10, and then we got the news at like 10:20, so it's like 3 hours. Yeah, and then we got the news. Like they said, can we talk to 2 people? So myself and someone named Aaron. And yeah, it was cool.
And then you were pulled to conductor's room. What were you thinking?
To be honest, I was still thinking that I wasn't going to get the job, or that like maybe it was going to be something like, we liked your playing, but you're too young or something. So like, if you want, you can come back for a sub audition. And I was going to be totally fine with that, but so that when they actually told me like I got the job, it was just kind of stunning. Like, I didn't really believe what I was hearing for a while. But he was very nice, the music director, and yeah, talked me through some small details and stuff, and it was very cool. So, the other thing was there was like a fan running really loud in the background the entire time. I don't know why, so it was just really loud, so I couldn't really hear what he was saying sometimes. But
Oh yeah, tell us the at the final one very crucial element. Other than you have to play perfect of everything, is you have a side reading.
yeah, just that reading excerpt at the very end from the Brahms Haydn variations, and it just so happened that I had read that variation, or conducted that variation in my conducting class like 2 weeks ago, or the weeks before the audition, just by chance. And so I knew what the key was, I knew what the tempo was, what the general atmosphere of the excerpt sounded like, although I never played it myself. So I could sort of think of like what it was like when I conducted it, and just transfer that to the playing a little bit. I think I did it kind of slow, but there's a lot of flats, so it was good to have time to play them.
Was it like a 6 or 7?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, and with that many flats on string instrument, sometimes sounding could be not as resonant as when you can use open string, right? Because when you have so much flats, it can be kind of, I don't know, a different sound, I would say. Yeah, a different kind of, a little bit less vibrant, right? Right. So let's answer Kevin's question. Kevin has 2 questions for you. I'm gonna put it on. Hi, Kevin. Hello. Very interesting info. I am Kevin Walker, and I'm a film composer living in LA, and was wondering how many orchestras did you actually apply to, and how many did you actually audition for?
Um, so this was my first audition for a professional orchestra.
That's sickening. But this is the first professional orchestra, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you
mean,
have
I've done like
auditioned for
small
student
things
orchestra.
before, but it was never.
Yeah.
This is my
Yeah.
first, yeah, like professional orchestra audition.
Yeah.
I mean, I just hadn't had time before or thought I was ready, and also the whole pandemic. And I was honestly just planning on doing this as a learning experience. So this was my first audition.
Yeah. Very good. And he has a second question for you. Also, did you get accepted to other orchestras, and how did you? Yeah. So it's your first one, so you
No,
didn't pick anything. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for your question, Kevin. So now that you won and you have a feeling about winning an orchestra, do you have two advice for people like you or younger than you if they want to win an orchestra audition? Do you have some advice for younger people?
I'm not sure I do, to be honest.
You don't.
No, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I think any experience is helpful, right?
Hmm.
So I'm very lucky and appreciative for the experiences I had, this summer, and also through orchestra at school and the classes I take. Because I know I didn't get this by myself, right? Like I didn't just walk into it. Um, I had really awesome teachers and mentors, and, like orchestra experiences that I had. You know, I guess the more experience you can get, the better, right? But I don't know if I have like advice for people.
I do. I do.
Okay.
Um, let me just say a few things. I used to play with a professional orchestra, not as awesome as Pittsburgh Symphony. I played with the Phoenix Symphony for 7 years. I think it's not one thing. It's many things, right? You first of all you need to you knew your orchestra excerpts very well, whether you're a violinist or cellist or violist. You need to know your excerpts very well, but not well just by playing the notes or even right tempo. You really need to know how does the orchestra sound. How is this excerpt is gonna sounding in the orchestra like? You don't just play by itself, right? You really know the whole piece. You need to study the score and listen to a lot of recordings and to get the feel. Yeah. And also one thing is I also try to tell Sean is like if this is the conductor, Hornick is the conductor, and you listen to his recording and you get to know his tempo because every conductor has its own tempo and own feeling. So you kind of need to know, uh, it's like when you make a film, you need to know the style of the director, right? And then hopefully you go audition for the role. But of course, the audition is different. So they have cast director, but I'm just saying it's many things. You need to listen live orchestra, and you also what else? Yeah, need to play as many orchestra as you can, right? Even student orchestra. Okay, you started play King Haven, which is a bigger orchestra than your high school or middle school. So we're talking about you started play orchestras since 2014, right? 14. So you have like a 7 years of experience playing orchestra already, right? That 7 years you run through a lot of repertoires, right? With uh, New York Youth Orchestra, NYO National Youth Orchestra, and then with the festival, right? King Haven, also the Music West Academy, Music Academy of the West. So it's a lot of company. Oh, then you also play the chamber music with a Proman program, right?
Yeah.
All of these things, I think all of these things helps.
say also
Even
like
Hunter, even
whenever they
Hunter,
let me,
high school,
yeah,
Hunter High School, you're principal violist, these are all helpful, right?
yeah. Also like when I was in this weird mindset for a lot
Mm,
of my preparation
mm,
time and even taking the audition, where it's like because it was the first one I was taking,
mm,
like I really felt like I needed to temper my expectations, and not think too high, right? Like not expect too much. But I really genuinely wanted to do this. Like I wanted the job, right? So like after I played first round, I'm sitting in the room, like I'm like stressing out and like so nervous and whatever because I actually really really wanted to do well, and so I got through that round and it was very cathartic release, and then I had to do it again, and it's like you're over analyzing every mistake and like I really wanted the job, and I knew it was like I want the job so much, but I also am trying to be realistic and say that it's probably not going to happen. Right? So this weird thing in my head, and then right before I would go out to play, I was just like, okay, I need to stop thinking about anything else and just focus on the music, um, and just block out everything else, and it's not important right now. And it's just as long as I play well, it's whatever.
mhm.
Because I don't think if I didn't have that much of a desire to actually do well, like I don't know, like I don't know if I would have put that much effort into it.
Mm.
But it was like I did actually really want this.
So tell us, what's the plan now? You're going to play with Pittsburgh
Yeah,
Symphony
I
when?
don't really want to talk about details.
Okay, okay. But tell us, when are you going to graduate?
I think I'm graduating in May of this year.
Mm,
So they're being
okay.
very kind and letting me start after I graduate, which is very kind.
Mm, great. So, my friend down there say, want to see more. That's his name. So funny. Want to see more. Want to hear you play a little bit, but you don't have your viola right now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Why don't we just play a little bit of uh, something from the YouTube collection? How's that?
Okay.
Um, I don't have anything of you play excerpts, but we can we can play a little bit of you playing Hindemith. How's that? Just a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Sean played this Hindemith viola sonata on November, I believe, 18th, November 17th last month in Juilliard School. So we're just going to play, since he doesn't have his viola at this space right now, so we'll just play a little bit of that. Okay. Hindemith is a German composer, very, very well known of writing viola pieces. He himself was a violist, so he's a pioneer of writing, viola
Mm-hmm.
repertoire. And I am going to mute your sound because I still hear the keyboard funny sound. Okay, so actually, we can just remove. Okay. All right. So beautiful playing, Sean. Or if you like this work, you can watch this on YouTube channel. He played the whole thing. It's about 16 minutes. The whole three movements all connect to each other. Oh, by the way, I'm Ching Juhl. I'm Sean's mom. And yeah, we just decided to do this interview last minute. So thank you for joining us, watching our conversation. And please like this video if you like it, and please subscribe to Juil Media YouTube channel. I have been doing this kind of interview for 18 months since the COVID lockdown. So yeah, so I interview a lot of different people, filmmakers, composers, um, politicians, um, people I know, and family members sometimes. Yeah. So, okay, great. Let's see if you have any questions. Do you have any questions before we end this session? Um, thank you so much for being with us. Want to see more and Kevin Walk music. And yeah, Sean, do you have any last thing you want to shout out before we end the session?
Um, maybe just no, not really.
No?
Yeah.
No shout out? Oh, tell them your graduate recital day.
Yeah. I was gonna mention that, but I thought it might be
No,
too far ahead in the
no,
future.
no, it's not.
Yeah,
Tell us.
it'll be open to the public, and on May 1st,
Hmm.
I think at 5 p.m. at Juilliard, I'll have my
Okay.
senior recital. So hopefully it's a good show.
Do you know the repertoire?
No.
No? So it's just 1 hour. Yeah?
Yeah, I need to figure that out soon.
Okay. Graduate recital.
Mhm.
Great. I'm just typing in here. May
Okay.
1st at 5:30. Would you say?
Yeah, at 5 o'clock, I think.
5? Oh, okay. 5 o'clock. Great. Awesome. Well, so yeah, thank you so much, Sean, and congratulations again. And now you can support me. So yeah, and I can't wait for you to start your own journey, own musical life, and yeah, and you are so young, but I think musically you're very mature. So congratulations, and yeah, great future for you. And thank you, and thank your teachers for their work and their help. And yeah, so great. All right, so we're gonna end this right now, and yeah, so you can, if you missed our beginning, you can watch from the beginning, and also Sean played some Bach at the very beginning. So, okay, all right, bye, Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. I'm gonna end. Everybody, thank you for watching.